the 2nd fret, and then a D7 chord. So let's start with a bam. Swing feel. Here's the theme, G. Hey, just do accompaniment. D7. Stays there. And that's the song form. Back to G. Bam. D7. Back to G. So the chords are G. Bar 2nd fret is A. Then D7. Another bam. Top of the forms. It's typical song form. Great fun to play over, and I love how it goes to the 2 chord or the A chord here. D7. 3 bars of that. Back home. And down. A. D7. Down. There's this higher melody. It's nice. Nice swing feel, yeah? Easy, real laid back, nice easy song. This is based on Fred Punahou's arrangement. Does anyone else want to take a pa'ani? We can all try one together. Bam. Take one, go for it. Okay, we do accompaniment. A. D7. Yeah. Back to G. So good. That was awesome. How about this section? Let's do a pa'ani together. G. A. Jim. Awesome. Beautiful chord shapes. D7. Man. Mark, take one. That's great, you guys. Really nice. One, two. You want to take one? Everyone play soft listen. Nice. Yee. All right. Genevieve, you want to take a solo? So sweet. Alright, over here, this section, let's do a solo. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. You want to do a body? No. Let's have it together. Everybody in the pool. melody has this great chromatic, these runs to go through. Lava, that means you're gonna end. So does everyone know that the classic ending? You do basically a D7 run. When you get back to G, your target is the G chord at 7, 8, and 9, but you just start down 2 frets. It's an F, goes an F sharp, and then a G. You can just do the little 3-note chord, and then you go back to a G at the 5th fret, or some other beautiful, any beautiful G chord that you know. We looked at this one the other day. That it's a little bar, 4 strings to the 9th fret. Then you hold down the 10th fret of the 2nd string and 12th of the high string. That's a pretty chord. It's a real sparkly. So a typical ending might be. Sometimes I mute that G and then let it ring, or you can let it ring. You can wait a little bit for that last chord. And I can get you music, yeah, Genevieve, for that later. We just need one more. I think I have an extra copy actually. Yep. Yep. Beautiful solo. I love it. I just have one left. But Mark, I'll give you this at the end of the class if you can share it. Yeah, I can give you my copy.
What was the song we just did?
That song we just did is called Aloha Ia no O Maui. And that's a really fun jam session song. If any of you get a private lesson with lead, play that with him. It'll show you all sorts of amazing things you can do with it. How about Radio Hula? That's another one that you'll hear played a lot, yeah? And this one, instead of going to the 2 chord, it goes to the 4 chord. Almost the same progression. But it goes, many songs start with a 1 chord, G in this case, for 2 bars, and then it goes to a C chord, yeah, nice. Back to the G. So the first 4 bars, G, second bar could be G7, pulling to the C, then back to the G. The second half is a G that goes to a D7, D7 that goes back to G, then there's a band. That's very typical. Sometimes whether in the second half, whether you go right to a D7 chord or a G, it's kind of up for grabs. You just kind of listen to it. It kind of changes in the middle in the song. And often you start with a big D7. Everyone start with a big D7 chord, do some runs and open and close it. This little C chord, it's 12, 13, 14. Starts moving its way down. 11, 12, 12. 9, 10, 10. Here you can bar the 7th fret. 7, 7 to 9. Down 2 frets, G7. Let's try that again just for practice. Just arpeggiate around 12, 13, 14. 11, 10, 12, 12. 6 string in the bass, it's all over a D bass. Just arpeggiate 9, 10, 10. 7, 7, 9. There's this little scale between the 5th fret and the 7th. Little augmented. You can go into any song that you want. That's often how it's done. Then, ready, you listen for it. Come in on a big splash on the C chord. Wait for it. Here we go. Often the accompaniment comes in on that C chord. G, D7, back to G, then the vamp. Let's play nice and slow. Top of the form, G. Back to G. D7. And down. Now the solo part is just over that progression. 3rd fret, G7 pulls nicely back to C. Now let's stay on the G. G2, and then change to the D7 here. then it's the opposite. D7 goes back to the 1. That's your song form. Then you do a vamp, any kind of vamp you want. D7 to G. Everyone experiment with some solos. Go for it. Like the other song, it has a nice laid-back swing feel. Back home, right to the G vamp. Top of the board. There's that C chord. Back. C. The melody again. Sometimes you hear this line. Now we're going to do Yellow Ginger Lake. D7. Very simple, just 2 chords. This song is often done in medley. Back to G, then that repeats again. G to D7, then D7 to G twice. My yellow ginger lady. Then map. Let's try that song for a little bit. I'm just using the 6 interval shapes. Repeat that. 9, 7, 9 to 5 and 7. Take a solo over that. I'll play a accompaniment for you. G to D7. D7 goes back to G. That happens twice. Yeah. Let's do a Moana Chimes. This is the one that goes to the 4 chord. Just like Radio Hula. D7, same chords. Top of the form, it's the same as the Radio Hula. D7. Back. Back to Radio Hula. Same progression. Lava, A7, D7. Yeah. So those are some great jam session songs, right? Being able to play Radio Hula. Often you'll hear that in medley with Yellow Ginger Lay, Moana Chimes. There's a song called Huli Huli Ho'i Mai that you often hear that Led does, where it goes up. And there's this other line. It goes to a 2 chord. And that's Leonard Kwan. Leonard Kwan did that version of that song. But basically, there are a lot of these medium swing songs that you can just kind of go in and out from one to another. Ray Connie would do that a lot. He has on one of his recordings that 5-song medley, right? He just keeps going one after another. He wouldn't do a lot of, he would do some really great variations, but not like ani so much. So he'd always kind of still state the melody. So when he do those medleys, he plays the melody of each song. He doesn't really break off and do solos. But they're really nice. They're nice arrangements.
Jeff, that's a great practice.
Yeah, just like diving in and yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
How about we do, let's now do Sanoi. We're gonna do, practice our improv on Sanoi. Very simple. All these songs have very similar chords. This is a waltz. G, C, D7, back to G. It happens a couple times. I'll play it once so you can hear it. You know, you've heard this one.
Haven't done much of this class.
C for 2 bars. It's a waltz. 1, 2, D7, 3. Often a G7, just like we did in last part, the song is good to C. Then the second time it goes back to G, to D7. Then just a quick vamp of D7. I'll play it again. G, just to accompaniment. It's gonna be a G7, C, D7. Sometimes you do a C minor here, but we're just going to keep it simple. We'll just stay on the C. Let's try improvise over that and play the melody. D7. Back to G. Leo Kalani, right? One of her more famous waltzes. C. Well, say just and C. G the second time to D7 back to G. That's the only difference in the progression. It just sneaks back to the G chord. Nice again. Arpeggiated accompaniment can be really nice. Just kind of walking across the strings. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now let's go to G7. Uh-oh. C. G7. Let's try to play it in this key. What's the 4 chord in C? F. Here comes F. And what's the 5 chord? G7. Those are our 3 chords, simple. Now, G7, back to G. So modulating this C can be nice and nice. Now we'll play that minor slow down. And 1. Tag to C, G, slowing down. Everyone play the 8th fret. You mentioned Pua Sardinia. This is what Ray Connick does. He plays this big, coming 5 strings, and then everyone play the 17th fret. Or a harmonic in the 3rd string, 5th fret if you want to, if you're too lazy to go up that high. Really? The 5th fret. Like right there.
Thank you, Joe.
You really have to dig in. Yeah. Sometimes a rest stroke can bring it up.
Which one was
Genevieve, that would be a beautiful song for you to do an arrangement of, Sanoi. It's so simple, but it works so beautifully in nylon string, and you could add a Sanoi, S-A-N-O-E. It's by Luleo Kalani, Queen Luleo Kalani. Beautiful love song. Sanoi. I could send you some music for it, but what you would do with it would be, I'd love to hear. Okay, in that sort of style, the arpeggiated style, the Kawailele o Nu'uano by Jay Kauka was made very popular by the brothers Casimiro, but Ozzy Kotani did a brilliant arrangement of it. Sonny played it. He taught it at one of his sessions in B flat the other day. It'd be nice to look at it in tarot patch because it'll, if you really were, starting to learn what he taught, if you can think of the chord names and see how they translate into the key of G, it'll really help you to start to navigate through and how the process would be of doing an arrangement. And it works beautifully in both tunings. And you can arrange the same song in many different tunings. Each one's going to feel a little bit different. There might be things possible in one that aren't in another. So it's fun to explore that. I like how Keola Beamer often talks about, he has this sort of metaphor for what it's like arranging a song. You're like, there's a hallway and all these doors that lead to different rooms. Each room is like a tuning. And you just take the song and you sit in a room with it for a little bit, see how it feels. Like, oh, I think I'm going to move on to another room. Then eventually you find the room that just feels so perfect. That's the tuning for the song. But I think actually, maybe with a little bit of redecorating, you can make most of the rooms work pretty well. It just depends. Sometimes it's register and range of where it falls on the fingerboard. Let me just play this. I haven't played this version for a while. I like to do, I might add a couple things to it, but I'll just so you get the feel of the idea of it, I'll play it through for you. Such a beautiful song, right? And Makana, he did a really I love Makana's version of this. On his album Koi Ao, he did a really nice version of this singing. Definitely have to hear the brothers Casimiro. A Vailele, what's a Vailele? Waterfall. And so Nu'uanu is an area on Oahu, a really beautiful, lush area, beautiful valley that goes back. I drive across it all the time going to where I live in the windward side of the island going into town. And I feel so like blessed and lucky to be able to drive through there. And I always look up and see the waterfall. And it's the highest peak of the Ko'olaos in that area. And all year round, there's a trickle that goes down. Then the rainy season, about 20 other waterfalls join it. When there are these really, it's called uhivai, this like a cloud that hugs the mountains. Then when it clears, it reveals all these waterfalls. The song Wahini Ilikea, that's sort of the metaphor, the same with probably the cliffs of Molokai on the east end here. But there's an amazing thing, and I've seen it once in my life, and I'm so glad that I saw it because I never really, no, that can't be. But the wind blows really strong through the valley sometimes, and it pushes up off the north, the trade winds blow up the mountain. And it's so strong sometimes that it pushes the waterfall up into the air, and it looks like the trunk of an elephant. It's an upside down waterfall, and then it turns into mist, but you actually see it like a hose that's doing this. I saw it once, and people were pulled over on the side of the road, and I didn't have a phone, so I couldn't take a photo. But it was pretty breathtaking, amazing to see. Because the wind, it can be so strong at the top of the pulley there. There are all these beautiful hiking trails that connect there. That waterfall goes down and flows all the way to the ocean through Chinatown and downtown Honolulu, but it starts up there in the mountains. There's different names for the wind and rain, the Ko'olau Popo rain. And so this song, Jay Kaukua was a language teacher. I think he actually still is active, still teaching at Kamehameha schools. And he wrote this for his father, so it's a very heartfelt song when his father passed away. Just remembering his childhood and that waterfall. There's a hiking trail, you hike through amazing forest of ginger, of avapuhi. When it's in bloom, it's like a tree tunnel you're climbing through to get to this waterfall. It's amazing. It's at the end, if you're ever on Oahu, you drive through the old Pali Road, right where the old Pali Road ends, there's a little parking area, and then you'll just see hikers constantly going back in there. So that takes you to the waterfall. But what's really nice about the song is it has incredible chord motion. There are a lot of chords that go by, and there are possibilities of where you could play them. But the intro is just, by adding one note to your G chord, it sounds really pretty. We're just going to make it what's called add 9 by adding the note A or the second fret to the G. And I do that at the very end too, where you can reach up and get a high, yeah. And you could try with your fingering, get your pinky curved like this, and even like bring that part of your hand in closer to the neck. Even touch, try to see, can you do this? Just by leaning, not by squeezing here, but by actually rotating the forearm. Now your hand's more parallel this way. Try to think of that as your balance, and then your index finger can either reach back. It'll really strengthen your left hand. We talked a little bit about that the other day. But instead of being like this, you want to try to swap things around. Get this closer, really curved, so that's curved. And then this is strong. Your index finger can reach. Look how far it can reach all over the place. It just leans its way back to get that. So this would be a good chord for you to practice to get that. Open up here. Right now. Yep. Let it open up like that. That looks good. Yep. So that's what I do for the intro. I play that chord. Then I go to a D7 and I arpeggiate 6, 3, 2, 3. That happens a couple times. So you might hold your second finger down. Then all you have to do is add your first finger to get the D7. The melody, I'm sorry, the printer, I don't know, my version, yours hopefully is better. It's a little scrunched in measure 5, but those are open strings on the second string. You hold that G chord again with the second fret on there on the third string. Then this next chord, D minor 7, it looks like an F chord shape. You hold 3, 2, and 1, and you add a 6th string in the bass. Then you lift off your first finger, play the 5th string in the bass to the 3rd string in the melody, then to the open string. You know how when we just did our jam session song, we often had a measure 2 a G7 and measure 3 we had a C? This song does the same thing, but instead of just playing the G7, adding in that D minor 7 to G7, it makes it more contemporary sound. So you get this sort of sound. It's really pretty, so it sounds like. Then instead of just a plain old C, it's a C major 7. And this is going to be good practice for your pinky once again. Don't, if I get it way up over the 5th fret, we're going to go 5, 5th string, 5th fret, 4th string, 4th fret. And then we're going to play to the 2nd string. This is a really pretty chord. It's a major 7. 5 on the 5th string, 4 on the 4th string. If you're playing in standard tuning, it'd just be like a C chord without your first finger, but we have to work for it because of the tuning. Ah. There are other, some might play the 5th fret, but having this note in there is nice. Then what's going to happen, there's a little bit of bass motion. From this chord, we're going to just add the 4th fret, walking down to A, 2, 2, 0. Then it's going to sneak up in the middle and play the 3rd fret. With that chord, I didn't really fill in the whole chord, but see above it, I labeled it as an A sharp diminished. It could also be flat diminished. The diminished chord, you just bar your first finger across the top 2 strings. Just 2 strings. You add the 3rd finger, almost like an F chord shape, but so that your 2nd finger can grab the bass note. It's a weird chord on its own, but in context, it's really beautiful as a pass chord. 2nd finger on the lower note, 3rd finger tucks underneath it. And then the 1st finger bar is here. So it's 3 on the 5th, 3 on the 3rd, 2, 2. I love this chord. Move it every 3 frets. There's your, it's a diminished, moving diminished chord.
Which one?
It's where in the music it says A sharp diminished. I just wrote the bass and the melody, but I'm just filling in some of it here. So I'll play so far, going into measure 5. There's the 4th string open is a melody note that's sung, so that's an important note, the last note of the first line. Here's that D minor 7 to G7, moving down. Open up the hand, get over the strings. And then here's where that diminished chord happens, right here. This next chord, you go up to the 4th fret. The 2nd fret with the 1st finger. Then this, I love this E7 chord. If you've played standard tuning, you know a D chord. You move your D chord way down low to the 1st fret of the 5th string, like your D chord shape. But now your pinky play the 2nd fret on and on. That's a really cool E7 chord. Yeah. That's basically what's happening in measure 10. Then we're going to go to an A bar, and then C minor. We did that when we did the vamp of Pua Olena the other day. You can add the 6th string. I often add that too, 1st fret of the 6th string. So it's 1, 1, 1, every other string. That's what happens the 2nd half of measure 11. Then we drop into the basic D7 chord. So we can break the song into basically like 3 phrases. That's the first phrase. Let me play it again so you can get an idea. You can arpeggiate around what's there a little bit more. Like here, I might fill in more arpeggios. Here's that chord we did. And then you have to move the melody in the 2nd string to the A, C minor, and then D7. I'll do it a few more times. Measure 5. Passing chord to D7. Now this is my favorite part of the piece. G goes to something we don't run into every day, is an augmented chord. 4, 4, 5. Is that a great sound? It's just pulling to C. The G chord rises up like chromatic motion up to C. Then it walks down 4 and 3. 5th and high string, 1st and 2nd finger, then that backs down 2 frets and you get a B minor, or A minor chord, A minor 7. 2, 2, 0, 1. Back to the B minor chord. Measure 17. I leave the 3rd string open. Then this is a cool passing chord. It's an F chord, 6th string, and the 4th string with a 3rd finger and pinky at the 3rd fret. This 3rd string open, 2nd string 1st fret. It's the F add 9 chord. Not hard to play. That goes to an E sus. Then I re-finger to, or you can use your pinky there. And then an E. So it's like you just add your pinky and remove it. 2nd fret of the 6th, 4th, and 3rd string. I think that this sort of process, this is the challenging part of the song, just recognizing the shapes. Once you see them, they're not too hard to play.
No, they're easy to play on their own.
Yeah, you just got to
Put it
remember them
together.
all. There's so many, right? So this song keep you on your
It's
toes.
all about the flow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And actually, there are a
I
couple.
like this chord, and I've played this, and I've always wondered
Yeah, is that pretty?
what that is.
It's a type of B minor chord. It's like a G in the bass. Yeah. Like a
And then the E
straight B
minor.
minor is like this,
Yeah, that's
but it's
cool.
using these open strings.
Yeah, I like
So it's a
it.
B minor 7.
Yeah.
Like A minor
Yeah.
7. Yeah,
This is
and
the B minor 7.
yeah, that's one way. And then you put your first finger. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, perfect. And then another way is like the A minor 7, just moved up 2 frets. Almost like A minor standard, but you move that down. There's a straight minor chord, but you can often take off that finger. Gives it extra interesting open note. Yeah, that's a movable shape. Wow. E minor. That's a cool chord, yeah. You'll find with a lot of these chord shapes, once you've figured out a fingering, just experiment. Move it up and down the fingerboard and see what you like. Ihiuka, it does that all over the place.
Yeah.
Like using a chord like moving that shape around, right? They're all kind of related to what we're doing at just different spots. So you get all these interesting passing chords. I'll play so far what we've covered. So the intro. You want to try that? Now the trick to making the chords smooth is figuring out which fingers you're going to put down first. So watch, I don't always just block out the chord. I put fingers down as needed. Here they're all together. But first I'd put down this note, and then I'd make the chord. Then outside notes, and then I make the inside chord. That's what's going to smooth it out. I might use these 3 fingers here, then here comes the augmented. It can be open or here. Then the C, walking down. This first, and then I add that one. That one little extra bit of time you have to find that note will smooth it out. For example, measure 18. I just play the bass note, and then I fill in these 2 notes. The very last note, you have a C chord at the bottom of the page. It's really hard to read, but that's a 6 in the bass. The second to last note of the first page, and it says C sharp diminished. It's like that chord shape again, but we're playing the melody in the 2nd string. Then measure 21 is really pretty. It's like that chord you did, but up a fret, and it's the 5-5-3. You put a D in the bass on the 4th string, going up a D sus, and then you just drop it down there. And the difference here is these 2 fingers go up one set of strings. Yep, there, and then that stays. But that stays on the there, and then you play a 6th string, so it's a D7. Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
That chord, and then it just goes back to straight D7s like that. Yep. Yeah.
Do you have this recording on your website of one of the lessons?
Yeah. There is a lesson on my website for this. Yeah. I also recorded it. I did a duet version. There are two guitars playing it, based on this arrangement on the Kananio Kiho Alu album that I did. So you can listen to that. Yeah, but there's less of that. It's it's good we didn't do this after lunch. It would have been impossible. With all these chords.
Try before lunch.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you just work measure by measure, it's worth the effort because it's so beautiful. And then listen to the way that Sonny plays it, the way that Ozzy plays it, the Casimiro version. Listen to as many versions as you can. You'll get some other ideas of what you might do. Passing chords, they're so great. So if you're going to go from this note to that note, it's just a matter of putting stepwise motion. That's something that happens a lot in the songs. Just little subtle adjustments to chords. The last phrase is at measure 22. We just did this D7 chord, 21, then it resolves. This phrase is pretty straightforward, the last one. Open strings. Back to that fifth string in the bass of the C. I use my first finger to grab the melody notes, kind of moving around. Then back to the G add 9. Measure 26. This is a great example of a walking bass that moves up. So the bass is going. And there's a melody above it. So the goal is to leave those fingers down. So you get sustained. It's implying A minor, B minor, C to D. That goes to the first ending. When I played it, then what I do, I didn't write it out, but I go up an octave. And I play, like most of the song works, that when it gets to the bottom of page 1, it goes up really high up the neck, so then I jump back down to the lower octave. But it's really pretty doing it here. I do C major 7, I sometimes use bar chords, or I do it. And then you get the higher chords. E7, A, C minor, D. Then just it's the same chord up here. Then I go down to a C, minor A, G minor F. It's the same chords, it's just up an octave. Then at this point I jump back down to the end of page 1. It's possible to this last part of an octave as well. Then the second ending goes to E minor 9, which is one of my favorite Taro Patch chords. It's 2, 4, 4, and then all open strings. Yeah. I remember how we did the E7, like that D shape on the 5th string. The pinky down. Move that up to the 6th fret and you get a cool A7. So make a D chord shape low. Good. And then put your pinky down on the high string. Yep, move that up. That's a really nice A7.
Where's the pinky?
Pinky's on the high
It's on the
string.
high string.
There. One higher.
So what is that? That's
A7.
Oh wow.
That's an
It's a very full sounding.
Very full sound, yeah. It doesn't have if you had a thumb or something, there isn't an A in the bass, but it's got a cool note in the bass. You see that measure 31, there's where it's laid out. 6, 7, 6, 0, 7. Then it goes back to the walk up. Back to the intro to end. So worth the effort to learn this one. It's really nice. How did it feel in the B flat tuning? Pretty nice, right? Where you don't have to do big stretches. Yeah, right. A lot to remember though. There's so many chords. It has so many more chords than your typical Hawaiian standard.
You really have to be
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's why I think listening to some vocal versions will help you to hear the melody. Yeah. Nice.
I remember you told me I would measure at 22. Usually on the second time around, just hit that root on nice and soft.
Yeah.
Pour it out.
Yeah. And you can play, like, moving your right hand position more over the fingerboard will give you a warmer sound. A piece like this, you can work on your phrasing, and it doesn't have to be perfectly, you can slow down, it can push it right, it can be a little bit rubato, like we mentioned before. If you watch someone like Kiola player Ozzy, almost every single block chord is rolled. So whenever you have a big chord, instead of just, it's much more expressive. So you start low and work your way up. That's a really nice thing to do. Tarot Patch? I think he does it in Tarot Patch, yeah. I can't remember what tuning McConnell does it in. It might be in G as well, but he sings it. It's really a great version. Does anyone else know any other versions of this that you've heard before?
Well, Ozzy's version.
Ozzy's version? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Brothers Casimiro, that's the definitive version. Yeah.
Are there any female versions?
That's a good question. It would be great if there was.
I mean, McConnell sings it, and he sings the words along with it.
Yeah, and the Brothers Casimiro sing the words. Yeah, yeah. There's a whole story and a phrase. Yeah, there's a story behind it.
Yeah.
But he learned it from the Brothers Casimiro version, and then the version that Ozzy Kotani does, I think he plays it on a nylon string, and it's really beautiful sounding in open G. But that's instrumental. I did a version of it of all things with an air hoop player. It's a Bowden, so it works the melody. If you want a lead sheet, I have one that you could read the melody. It's a really beautiful melody, very long held notes. One thing you might try to really improve knowing the tuning is just to do accompaniment. And that's what I would think if I'm accompanying someone singing, or, you know, let's say a violinist is playing. If Elizabeth was playing a melody and we accompanied her, just being able to do something like this. G, I'll read from measure 5. I need a D minor 7 to a G7. C major 7. I think I'm going to choose this. I need an A7 to diminish to B minor, E7. A7 to C minor to D7. G, I'll do the augmented on the 3rd string. I'll do C here, walking down. So this is really good practice. Just being able to, they call it kind of comping or just playing through the chord voicings. F, E7 sus, C7, A minor, B minor, C sharp diminished, D7 sus. A G. For the add 9 in there, C major 7. G add 9. A minor, B minor, C to D7. There's some repetitive little walks that happen. That happens a few times. I'll do it one more time. Imagine the melody being sung. Measure 23. C, G. Then E minor. A7. I can really slow down. So accompaniment, you could learn a lot from that process. Yeah, and you playing Ihi Uka, it's the same album. So it's like
Yeah.
this might have
I
had
know that song like
inspiration, like some of the harmony here in Tarot Patch and the way that it moves to some of the unusual chord shapes. There might be a little bit of a connection.
I don't know if it makes sense. Somebody who's playing harmony, just playing this.
Oh yeah. There's so much room that it could be. Yeah, developed.
It is pretty.
Let's see. Yeah, look up the Brothers Casimiro. It's so easy to find music now, right? So you can let's see how much you can find it online.
Well, you have, and I hope to beg you to share some of that stuff. Yeah. I mean, I was. I do have to all That's not. Gotta pay more attention.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I was gonna get the blues. Sorry.
It's
So
a pretty. It's kind of.
yeah, it should be
It's
on.
fun to hear that kind of
Oops, connected.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Play. I've got a tenor guitar, which is it's a small format, 4-string.
Ooh, it sounds like it's a G.
Or you can do
Oh no, F.
I just don't feel
G, so you can play along with follow your chords.
You know what I mean? It's just hard. Yeah.
I love how Roland Casimiro just keeps the eighth note. E7, here's measure 11. 7. Perfect for that flow, bel canto style of singing that he does. Operatic. E7 sus, E7. Here's the walk up. A minor, E minor. C. Here's this diminished. E7 sus. Roland Casimiro is just playing a 12 string in standard tuning, right? So this might be a standard tuning song that you try with accompaniment. The bass is pedaling a D here. It's kind of interesting. Then the walk up, E minor, measure 27. Here's the first one. Back one. Turn around. Next verse. Ooh, choirs. What key? They moved up, right? D, yep. F. Yep. So it actually modulates down. But isn't this pretty with a... It's like Kamehameha School's choir sound. Does that walk up? Diminished chord. Here's what would be G7 sus, not C7 sus. Back to the C. That's the F and the bass, right? It's really cool, right? But the chords change. Like, that's a really cool thing. We're gonna go to C major 7, measure 24. He just holds a G in the bass. They're looping that. Ooh!
I like your version better.
This is back to C. I mean, back to G. Here's E minor. Here's play that cool A7 chord. Try it. Yeah. Pretty brilliant, yeah? Isn't it amazing?
Who was that? Singing?
That was the Brothers Casimiro. That
Oh, the
was
brother- okay, right here, yeah.
Robert Casimiro. Oh, there's a video from the Slack Key show of it being done. Kaulike. There are lots of live versions. There are choral versions of it. Let's see. Let's hear Makana. See what key he does it in. Listening always good, right? It just gives you some insights. It's A. Very closely following the chorus, the harmony of the melodies, kind of with a nice arrangement, different key. Lots of space. Hear all the open space. There's a walk up. He's using a capo up pretty high. So it's like a C type thing. Here's measure 26. Ooh, it's like going to F major, then down a fret, E flat, sort of thing. Nice use of the rubato. Then he sings. Really sparse accompaniment, yeah. Compared to that, the way that was strummed in the 12th, this is just like wide open. A little bit more driving tempo here. I think it's in an A. Is it? Or actually, it's in the key of E, sorry. It's E, yeah. He's playing an open D, but tuned up. It actually isn't capo, it's open D, capoed up.
Oh,
I mean, open D, tuned
open
up to
D?
E.
Is it-
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that okay. And then he capo.
That was a live version, wasn't it?
A live version. Yeah, yeah.
that
He
was-
did a
That
recorded
was slower
version.
than the Koi album.
Okay, okay. But it'd be interesting to try it. You know, like I mentioned, like try out the different rooms and see how would open D work. The first step is to figure out what the chords would be, you know, in the new C, and you might have to write it down. Like there's a lot of transposing going on. But there are certain things that happen, like this little walk up. Just getting a sense of where those are. You can start to find it, you know, and you'll find that when you can start to transpose a little bit and look at maybe some similarities between fingerings. Most tunings, if you follow bass lines up and down one string and you know your one chord is here, before you know all the other notes that there, you know that 2 is here, 3. You can just walk up the scale on one string, and that could help you then to kind of navigate through where you're getting. So, but I think open D, it'd be a really nice tuning for the song as well. So, minor, major chords. At some point before he started singing, he went. So just walk down. Walk it down. So D would be really nice to bring that up. No, this one is G, A, D, F sharp on the third string, and then A on the second string. It sounds like he tuned it up like Jerry Santos does, up to E, open E. Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Good.
How are you?
Guess what I want?
Let's do it. Thanks, guys. That was a fun session. Okay, everyone, we're gonna do the big guitar toss.
Can we get
On the
sort
count
of
of three.
bunched in really big?